I wrong for throwing a cake at my best man's girlfriend's dress and telling them to leave my wedding? So 3 weeks ago, I, 28 male, married my wife, 27 female. The wedding was all planned out and ready as we had been planning it before the whole COVID situation happened, and when we finally thought it was time to tie the knot, I asked my best friend Derek to be my best man along with his 2 kids, 1 boy and 1 girl, to be our flower girl and ring bearer. We adored the kids and we were their godparents, so we obviously wanted to include them in some sort of way. They all agreed as long as the kids' mother, Derek's girlfriend, was allowed to come as a guest. My wife and I agreed, and we gave her an invitation which included a dress code, aka don't wear white or anything that resembles a wedding dress. The day of the wedding came and Derek told me his girlfriend was going to be a bit late. I was fine with it because I wasn't close to her at all. In fact, she only agreed for us to be the godparents for her kids because they liked us so much. She then came in just before my wife was meant to be coming down, wearing a short white imitation wedding dress. When I asked Derek what the hell she was wearing, he told me that she wasn't wearing white. It was pearl, so this already infuriated me. When my wife began walking down the aisle, she noticed her and became visibly upset and then continued to put a smile on her face. Once we got to the reception and all of the kids were sent home, we all became a bit drunk. Derek then asked to do an announcement. At first, I thought he was going to talk about us or about my wife and I as it was our wedding. Instead, he was drunkenly mumbling about something along the lines of, thought it was a perfect time, then proceeded to propose to his girlfriend. My wife went to the bathroom as she was upset that they were taking the spotlight. I became angry and asked Derek and his girlfriend to leave the wedding, and they refused. I got to the point where I had to calm my wife down just to be able to cut the cake. When we cut the cake, my drunk ass threw it at Derek's girlfriend's dress and ruined it. I did tell them I'll pay for the dry cleaning, but to get the out of my wedding, which they proceeded to do. Now, Derek and his girlfriend are calling me an asshole for ruining the dress, which I had paid for dry cleaning, along with embarrassing them at my own wedding. I managed to get in contact with her family, and they all said that the dress had no value within the family. And my family continued to send me hate for not apologizing to them first and being the bigger person. So, am I the asshole for being drunk and stupid when they took away my wife's spotlight on her special day? I do know there was probably a better way to handle it, but I was drunk and just wanted to get back at them for ruining the love of my life's special day. So, am I the asshole?
I broke up with my boyfriend because I thought he was cheating on me, but years later, I'd found out the truth. Story time. So me and my now ex-boyfriend, who we'll call Steve, had been together for about 2 years. It all started when we decided to plan a little trip together. I'd been saying for years I really wanted to go to Switzerland, so that is what we settled on. Let me tell you, as soon as that plane trip was booked, Steve started acting different. He would be home less and less, hiding his phone from me. He hardly talked about his day anymore. One of the biggest red flags was when he started to get late night calls and he would jump out of bed, like wouldn't let me see who was on the other end of the phone, wouldn't take the call in the room with me. I was getting so suspicious. So one day his best friend Alan comes round to our house. I explained everything to Alan. And even Alan started to act weird, and he'd never ever been like that with me before. The more I was telling Alan, the redder his face was getting. And that was when I just accepted that Steve was definitely cheating on me and that Alan knew all about it and was trying to hide it. I was not about to let anyone disrespect me like that, so I walked back into our house and I started to pack my bags. It was then that Steve realised that something was up and he kept trying to stop me from packing. But I was just so angry I couldn't even look at him. Shortly after that, my brother came to pick me up. I ended up staying with my brother for a few days and I ended up blocking Steve and his whole family on literally everything. A week later, my brother came home with a letter from Steve and I just tore it up straight away. I was like, no, not reading it. Eventually, I went and moved my stuff out of mine and Steve's house. And when I went in, there was another letter on my desk. Again, just ripped it up, didn't even read it. Let's fast forward 3 years to the present day. I am in a cafe and I see Alan. I hadn't seen Alan since that night, so I went over to say hi. But this man was not happy to see me. He told me that I must be the most awful woman on the planet. And I was like, oh, that feels a bit personal, Alan. Why? And that was when he told me that Steve had been planning to propose to me in Switzerland. I was so shocked that I dropped my cup of coffee onto the floor. The late night calls were from like an event planner in Switzerland. I just stared at Alan in absolute disarray. Alan gave me the dirtiest look and then walked away. And now I feel so nasty and so stupid. I could have literally had it all if I'd have just asked what was going on. And now I'm thinking, should I try and contact Steve? Let me know what you think.
I have to do some skincare, and I'm also going to talk about the literal fucking hell that is my life trying to find a car. Backstory, I need more water. Okay, backstory. I did have a car. I actually had a very nice car. I had a 2018 Honda Civic. It was very scrumptious. It literally got the job done, and it was just a nice car in general. My parents leased it for me, and then when the lease term was up, they said, hey, Serena, do you want to buy the car? At the time, I was working in New York City, so I didn't need a car, so like a fucking idiot, I said, no, Mom, I don't want to buy the car. Looking back on that, I should have fucking slapped myself because I should have purchased that car. That would have been like a great solution to my problems. Anyway, I didn't buy the car. They sold the car. Great, wonderful, whatever. And now I don't have a car. I haven't had a car for at least 8 months now. I have tried time and time again to buy a car, and it's been an absolute catastrophe disaster every single time. My most recent experience was a few days ago when I went to the Nissan dealership. Now, I know you're saying, Serena, why would you buy a Nissan? I don't want a Nissan. Honestly, the only reason I was looking at Nissan is because Nissans are the cheapest car on the market right now. So I go to the Nissan dealership and I find a fucking Sentra. It's 2023. Literally the base model. The only upgrade it has is the interior. So I'm looking at this car. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. It's good enough for me. It's $25,000. Now, $25,000 in my fucking mind for a Nissan is pushing it. You're fucking pushing it, okay? I sit down anyway, and magically, as soon as we sit at the table, it goes from $25,000 to $29,000. And I'm looking at the salesman, I was like, sir, I totally understand, like, the registration fees and the doc fees, but I need a cost breakdown because the sticker price literally jumped like $4,000 in the matter of seconds. He's like, well, we don't give out the cost breakdown sheet. And I was like, if you can't give me a cost breakdown, I'm not interested in the car at all. So he leaves, he comes back, 10 minutes later, he magically has the cost breakdown. Me and my brother sit and we're looking through the sheet and we're going through. And when I tell you there was shit listed that I don't even know how you could charge for because it's not there, it's not in the car, my brother goes, hey, there's $300 listed here for window tint, but I didn't see any tinted windows in the car. My brother is like, okay, well, that's giving very much suspicious. So me and him are like looking across the table like, bro, we got to get the fuck out of here. But then I was like, just out of curiosity, can you run me the numbers? This man leaves, comes back after 10 fucking minutes, probably sitting in the corner like doing like this because I don't know what type of math he did. He comes back and he goes, yeah, you're looking at $485 a month. $485 a month? For $485 a month, I should be fucking driving a Mercedes. I should be fucking pulling up in a Range Rover. I was besides myself. I'm like, sir, are you joking? Are you kidding? He's like, well, if you could put a little bit more money down. So I'm just, at this point, I'm like doing it for shits and giggles. I was like, what about $15,000 down? Do I have $15,000? No. When I tell you every fucking fiber of my being wanted to slap this man, I was really trying. I was really trying to be a good Samaritan, okay?
What's even more annoying than my mother calling me and talking about her man's 24/7? Her birthday. And it's not, I'm a birthday bitch myself. Like, I love to talk about my birthday. No, it's her birthday present. This bitch calls me and is like, what are you getting me for my birthday? No, she literally called me today. She's like, Sissy told me you had a rough day yesterday, because I fucking did. I just had one of those days where you kind of just like cry nonstop, which like, it's not a bad thing. I think those days are so good. Like, I just let out every single emotion I've been feeling. And honestly, Chicago fucking drained me. I love it so much there, but did it drain me? Yes. But I have a full vlog coming for you Monday on like Chicago and everything that happened there. My YouTube. Like, honestly, if you don't follow me and subscribe to me on YouTube, you can go fuck yourself. I'm kidding. That was a little rude. That was really rude. I don't know. I think YouTube's like my new it platform. Like, I love fucking posting on there. To my mother, she called me and she was like, Sissy said you had a bad day. And I was like, yeah. And I start to go on. She goes, you know what, Lev? You know what I want for my birthday? I said, to be honest, I don't really give a fuck. Let me hear it. Let's stop talking about why I had a rough day yesterday and was bawling my motherfucking eyes out for hours just so I can hear about the birthday present you want. Mind you guys, the things she wants for her birthday are just the weirdest things possible. Like, she was telling me that she wants her closet redone. How the fuck would I go about getting her closet redone? Like, let me know. Like, that's so random. And then it's always diamond fucking earrings. She's like, I want diamond earrings. I said, you must be smoking crack if you think I'm gonna drop 10 grand on a pair of diamond earrings for your birthday. Like, that's just not smart. Today is when I fucking lost it. I was like, oh, she's crossed the line. This is my 13th reason. Why the fuck do these effects just keep popping up whenever? TikTok, figure it out. This woman calls me and goes, I know what I want for my birthday. I want a country club membership. She said that, I was like, are you fucking serious right now? A country club membership? Why does she give me these things that are like just not feasible for me to get? And they're really fucking weird. I literally said to her, I was like, Mom, I gotta go. I'm getting ready for the podcast. I just cannot talk. Because after she said that, I was like, I'm not in the fucking mood. I'm not in the mood to deal with this woman and her delusion. You wonder where I get my fucking delusional from? Clearly it's generational, because this woman thinks I'm gonna get her a country club membership for her fucking birthday. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna get my mom something really nice. Like, I love her. But a country club membership, I said, you lost your damn fucking mind. Like, forget it. Do not call me with birthday requests anymore. Because a country club membership, like, what the fuck is next? You want me to get you a golf cart so you can just ride it around the neighborhood? Like, what else do you want, bitch? If you're wondering why I'm so pressed about this country club thing, because that's a $100,000 present. Like, the country club this bitch wants to go to is like $100,000 a year. Like, you're off your rocker, bitch. And I just know in her head, she was like, this is such a good idea. Like, bitch, be for real. Get her something nice, but not that nice.
Am I wrong for getting with my friend's husband? Story time. Listen, I know how bad it sounds. Just stick with me, okay? So there was this new guy who started out at work, and we'll call him Steve. Now, I'm a single girl and I like to live that single life. So one night I was so bored and I was like, I'm just going to scroll through some dating apps, see who's out there. And I come across Steve at work. And Steve is looking a little bit sexy. Basically started talking and we got together basically the next day. At this point, I'd been seeing a couple of different guys, so I didn't even think to mention it to Amy, who is my friend, by the way. On the date, Steve was dead flirty, he never mentioned a girl, he didn't even have a ring on. So my company decided that they were going to host a little party. And it was like a wives and husbands are invited type sitch. And when I got there, I was looking good. I'm like, first step, we go to the bar. I see Amy and I'm like, hey girl, how's the night going? She asks me if I've bought anyone. I ask her if she's bought anyone. And she is like, yeah, I came with my husband. I was like, oh, didn't even know you had a husband, babe. Like, where is he? Let me meet him. So she turns around and she beckons this guy over. I have never experienced shock like this very moment. It was only bloody Steve. And in that moment, I had no clue what to do. So I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And then ran. I literally didn't say anything else to them all night. I basically avoided them. And he definitely recognised me as well because he was avoiding eye contact. Let me tell you, this night ate me up. I came to the conclusion that I just had to tell her. So this evening after work, I pulled Amy aside and I told her everything that had happened. Then she got really upset with me because how could I get with her husband? She said that I should have known. So I said to her, like, what are you going to do? Meaning, like, confronting Steve on the fact that he's been cheating on her. But no, she just says, well, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. She then started the name calling. She goes, you're a horrible person, you can rot in hell. And I'm thinking, are we not angry at the wrong person here? I do 100% feel awful. But at the same time, I literally had no idea. What do you think?
Am I wrong for inviting my fiance's younger sister to our wedding? I, 25 female, am engaged to my fiance, 32 male. We've been dating for 4 years before getting engaged last year. We've always gotten along well with each other's families and celebrated holidays together. Both of our families were happy when we announced our engagement. I recently found out that my fiance actually has a 15-year-old younger sister, let's call her Anne, who I never met despite her living at her parents' and me visiting often. When I asked about her during a family dinner, they glared at me and coldly said I shouldn't mention her and that I should just forget about her. The intense response kind of shocked me, so I dropped the subject. But I tried to talk about it with my fiance after we got home. He brushed it off and said that Anne doesn't want to be a part of the family, so she's not allowed to join any family events or gatherings until she decides to talk to them. Maybe because I'm generally a curious person, but something just felt off. Even at my fiance's parents' home, there are pictures of their children everywhere, but there's not a single picture of Anne. A few days ago, I contacted Anne, saying I love to get to know my future sister-in-law. We met up in a cafe and she is such a sweet girl, but it turned out she's mute. She can hear, but just can't talk. Her parents got it into their heads that she's able to talk, but chooses not to, because there's no way a child of them would have a disability. So they excluded Anne from the family until she talks. We talked. I talked, she wrote, I don't know sign language, and I feel really sorry for her. I invited her to my wedding, telling her that I'd love to see her there. When I later told this during a family dinner with my fiance's family, they blew up, telling me how I dared to talk to Anne and to revoke my invitation because if Anne doesn't want to talk to them, she doesn't deserve to be a part of the family and shouldn't be allowed to join in family events. They told me I shouldn't stick my nose in their family business. My fiancé sided with his parents, telling me to just forget Anne exists and to apologize to his parents. This angered me because I thought my fiancé would have my back, and I yelled at them that I'm not going to uninvite her and that she deserves to be treated better. Since then, my fiancé has been constantly telling me that I'm behaving like a child, throwing a tantrum, and to apologize to his family for my behavior. But I just can't accept the way Anne is treated. It also made me worry if we end up having children, would my fiancé treat our child the same if they end up with a disability of some kind? Some of my friends are also saying that I should just let it go and not overreact so much. That every family does things their own way, so I should just apologize and do as they tell me to prevent my relationship from suffering.
Am I the asshole for being upset after my girlfriend called me high maintenance? Girlfriend, female 26, and I, male 24, have been together for 4 years, and we moved in together officially 6 months ago. We rented a new and more spacious apartment together. We split rent and most of the expenses, according to our wages. We both work. I have a full-time job and she works part-time. I'll answer more questions if needed. I'm a terrible cook. I don't like it at all, and every time I try to cook something, it tastes awful. So my girlfriend cooks most of our meals. To be honest, also, I don't do many of the household chores. It's not that I want my girlfriend to do everything on her own, but I was living with my mom before moving out, and she used to do everything. I do other stuff, and I do chores when asked. This is a small issue between us, but not as big. Yesterday, I came back from work around 8, and my girlfriend was cooking for us. We had dinner, and then she was washing the dishes. We were chatting while she cleaned. Then I went to hug her while she was putting everything on place, the seasonings and that kind of stuff. By this time, it was like an hour later. I was trying to hug her and kiss her, but she was like, "Leave me alone a sec," and moving away. She wasn't angry, she was just busy. Then I let her go and tell her something like, quote, "Why are you so cold?" in a whiny voice. I was trying to be funny. She then snapped, quote, "Why are you so high maintenance?" I was kind of shocked by her tone. I thought she was joking, and I said, "You're for real?" And she said, "Yeah. I love you, but you're high maintenance. Sometimes I can't with you." Then I got upset and I told her I'll leave her alone and left to the bedroom. Around maybe 15 minutes later, she comes in and was trying to talk to me, but I was kind of ignoring her and giving her short answers because I didn't want to talk to her. She asked me what was going on and I told her that we were joking around until she started saying stuff that hurt. She then went off on me. She told me I never help, or if I do, she has to tell me what to do. She says she feels like she's my mom sometimes. We argued and now we're in a tight spot. My partner has death grip syndrome, and I actually like it. My partner has death grip syndrome, which effectively means he has to squeeze his too hard while for so long, pretty much nothing else can make him. At first, it made me insecure. I hated feeling like I couldn't make him. I dreamed of one day being enough for someone to actually. But after figuring out what it was and talking to him, I put it in his hands, haha, to fix the problem. I don't have an issue with or even to some degree, but if he wanted to fix it, he'd likely have to be abstinent and retrain himself. I wasn't going to mother him into that, so I told him, do it or don't. In the meantime, I decided if we were going to have I was going to enjoy it. The problem wasn't me. He lasts forever.
That part.
He loves giving, and because of his death grip syndrome, he can go round after round. I don't give or anything very much because it's not enough for him, but I offer regularly. I offer a lot actually, but he hasn't seemed to be able to do anything but with his own right hand. I 4 to 5 times, and he maybe once, maybe ... He doesn't always choose to. It's his problem, and I've stopped letting it make me sad. He still likes having sex. He participates and initiates. It's kind of nice. In fact, I really like it. It works great this way, and use oral birth control as well, but this is a great secondary method. There are no chances for accident. Yes, sir. I've given him the ground to speak for what he wants, and if he doesn't want death grip syndrome, he can work through it. But in the interim, I pretty much have unlimited great sex with little to no risk of pregnancy.
Who else would get in an argument with an old man on a train other than me? When I landed in the Gold Coast, I took a train back. And during that unnecessarily long train ride, I look out the window and I see someone I know. And it is my beautiful friend, and she is coming into the doors that I am sitting in. Like, what are the odds? Neither one of us live in the town hall area. The odds were Slim Jim, beef jerky. Is a Slim Jim a beef jerky? I'm not American, so forgive my ignorance. And she gets on the train and I sit there conspiring. She walks through the doors, cackling, laughing her ass off. She goes, and I'm like, "How are you?" And she's like, "How are you?" And then she proceeds to jump onto me, clawing and clamoring like I'm a tree. I'm just sitting there like, hello. It was a very beautiful moment, okay? And then she introduces me to her friend, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And because we live close to each other, we took the next train to where we had to be, aka home, hello. And that she's with is just sitting there and he's silent. Me being me and wanting to learn about everybody, I was like, I'm gonna probe, I'm gonna pry, I'm gonna expect. What's your star sign? He goes, "I'm a Capricorn." Immediately repelled. I'm just kidding. I don't care that much, but it's a fun conversation to have. And then I don't know what possessed me for this to come out of my mouth, but I go, "What are your views on the LGBTQ community?" Because obviously I have 2 mums. Ally. I will ally till the day I die. He goes, "Oh, the trans people." I go, oh no, here we fucking go, I've stirred up some shit. And I go, what do you mean? And he is acting like there has been a huge fucking earthquake. The trans people are ruining everything. And he hammers and yammers on, continues going. I've learnt that I can't go in guns are blazing and go crazy. So I'm squirming in my train seat, unbearably calm, trying to hold myself together. And I'm trying to have like a proper critical conversation with him. I'm trying to listen to him because I like to stay open-minded, listen to other people's points. And however, is he listening to me? No, he is not. This is a 40-minute train ride. 40 minutes. My view on life is that I love everyone and I want everyone to be happy. And it's stupidly optimist. Why don't I just put blush on my forehead? That will give me no benefit. What do I do? I'm gonna ignore it. Okay, it is optimist, okay? And I sound like a child, but I want everybody to love life and love everything and love themselves. Does it get worse? Yes, it does. So my gorgeous gal of a friend, she's just sitting next to me and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get into this. Before we started this argument, she asked him if he could take me home. I live 4 minutes away from the station, a 4-minute walk from the station, right? And it was pitch black. And so she was like, could you please take her home? Like, bless her soul. Because I was fine to walk alone. Like, it didn't really matter. Where do I put bronzer? Me not knowing anything about makeup. He was like, oh, chucked a huge fanny wobble and was like, I don't want to drop her home. Sir, I am 20 and you are 40 and I am a woman and this is where we're at. Anyway, I then get a text after I walk home, because I did walk home. I get a text from her saying, well, he made me walk home too. I would not recommend getting into an argument with a man on a train that you do not know. Regardless, I think you should just love yourself, love everyone, and just let people live and be happy. Anyway.
I was an accident, and after years of negligence, I told my family I wished they had unalived me or given me up for adoption. I was basically an accident. When I was born, my siblings were 16, 18, 20, 23, and my parents were both 46. I was never abused in my childhood, but I was neglected and my entire family resented me. My parents didn't really think that they would get pregnant again, but here we are. I was never really looked after for by anyone and basically had to raise myself. No one ever really spent any time with me or played with me or anything when I was a kid. They didn't ever buy anything significant for me, just handed my siblings clothes and things. I realized this as I got older, so I focused on myself. My thought process at the time was that there was something wrong with me because my siblings were loved by them. So if I improved myself and did things for them, maybe then they would accept me and love me. I always got the best grades in school. My father was a football enthusiast and played in high school, but I was a basketball lover, but I still dropped it and took up football just to make him proud. I make sure I did all my chores readily, always kept my room clean, but nothing I did was ever enough for them. Like for example, if I was first in class, my parents would ask me why didn't I get a higher score. They ignored the percentile but focused on the percentage, and things like that. My siblings or parents never even bothered to show up for a single game. I was never appreciated for what I was, only detested me for what I wasn't. My siblings also did not allow me to hang out with them at any time at all. We celebrated my father's birthday yesterday. I am 16 today. My siblings do not live with us anymore and my mother had to leave early and would not return till later in the evening. So it was just me and him for the day. So I decided to serve him breakfast in his bed just as he woke up. I cooked, and bought him a tie for a present. I know it's not the best present, but I was on a budget. Nothing too extravagant cause I want to save as much money as possible for college, but it was definitely a smart one. I also cooked lunch for us and took care of all the chores. The most he could come up with was a pathetic thank you, and it was clear he wanted me to leave him alone, so I did just that. We all went out, siblings included, to a dinner, and the way these would go is that they would all have a good time and I would just sit in the corner. This is the case with almost all family dinners we have ever attended. We went back home and I don't know why, I really don't know what triggered it, but for some reason I just started crying all of a sudden. Maybe it was them being so happy together, I don't know. And when they asked me what happened, I just blew up at them and told them how I felt about my entire childhood, how they never showed me any kind of love and affection among other things. I don't know exactly what I said, but I do remember I ended it by saying that I wish that they had unalived me if they hate me so much, or could have given me up for adoption so they could all live their lives without me. My eldest sister started to say something, but I just ran up to my room and closed the door and went to sleep listening to some Hans Zimmer cause they just kept knocking at the door. Early this morning I went out my window and went to a secluded spot that I often go to, usually to play some guitar or just pace around listening to music or just enjoy the sound of nature. I'm sitting down here right now writing this on my phone at 4:30 a.m. and don't know what to do at all. I'm sorry if I just went out on a rant, but this is the first time that I am able to tell my childhood to anyone. Now how exactly do I tackle this problem? I have pretty much given up on my family and have spent enough of my time trying to please them. Do I still try to form any kind of bond with them? Do I completely drop them off? What exactly is the best thing to do here? How did you get revenge on your cheating girlfriend? I fattened her up, got her addicted to cigs, put her on the streets, and turned everyone against her. My girlfriend of 5 years at the time and I were going through a rough patch. I had just entered my last year of medical school and was always busy. Even though we lived together, we never really spent time together anymore. Because of the sudden lack of free time, she got very lonely. She would tell me all about the conversations she had with these people, and at the time I was happy because it meant I could spend more time on my studies and I wouldn't feel bad about being unable to spend time doing things with her. One day she told me she got into role-playing. At first, I was a little weirded out, but she assured me that it was entirely innocent and platonic. She even invited me to watch it. I could tell she was really excited and having a good time, so I pushed aside my feelings because I still felt like I was wronging her. One day, she told me about this guy she met online. He was funny and smart and I would like talking to him. She and he became best friends very fast. They exchanged phone numbers and they would text all the time. I didn't think too much of it, because she had my very deepest trust, and honestly I didn't have time to think anything about it. This went on for a few months. Eventually, she started changing, although it was so slow I didn't notice. She stopped telling me about what went on online, she was never more than an arm's reach from her phone, and she changed her passwords on all of her devices. I was so afraid of losing her, I didn't push anything or ask about why she was changing. I figured it was all my fault because I was unable to spend time with her. One day though, I decided I needed to change for her benefit. I talked with my doctor and got my prescription changed. I was able to focus much better, and as such we were actually able to do things again. She was ecstatic, and our relationship improved fivefold. Everything was going great until the revelation. One day, while studying, my laptop crapped out on me. I asked if I could use hers, and although she was hesitant, she let me use her laptop, although she never gave me the password. Even though this was normal at this point, I could still tell something was off. Despite this, I was too focused on my work to care. Right as I was finishing up, a Skype message came up. It was her friend from online, the one she constantly texted. I realized at that moment that I never heard about what happened between them anymore. I'd completely forgotten about him. I opened up the chat window and started scrolling up. What I saw floored me. I quickly installed a remote access Trojan, downloaded the Skype chat logs, and gave her laptop back like nothing happened. She didn't notice a thing. Later on, I opened her chat logs, and to this day I wish I hadn't. I wish I just broke up with her then, but my curiosity got the better of me. For months they had been sending explicit messages to each other. They'd webcammed for hours in the messages I saw. She said things to him she'd never said to me. She called him her master. When he got mad at her she begged for his forgiveness. I discovered she had started paying for his internet and phone bills because she couldn't stand to be without talking to him. And it wasn't just intimate messages. They also sent truly heartfelt messages to one another. Love was tossed about frequently. She said the only reason she hadn't left me is because I gave her whatever she wanted. I was instantly nauseous, my vision narrowed, my heart started pounding, and my blood ran cold. For about 2 or 3 weeks I was in a deep depression. Here she was, sending him all these messages, but she seemed so happy with me. I had no idea what I was going to do. One night though, something just snapped. I wasn't going to stand for this, and she needed to pay. Developed a multi-step plan for revenge. I lost something that night. I no longer trust anyone else, nor do I really feel strongly about anything anymore. Using the data I got from the keylogger, I accessed her Skype account and started sabotaging their relationship. I would act as her. I acted belligerent, scheduled webcamming sessions, and then would not show up. I told him not to text her phone because I was getting suspicious. Luckily, he was the type to get angry easily. Furthermore, he knew nearly all of her close online friends, oftentimes better than she did. One day she came to me, tears in her eyes, and told me that all of her friends had, for some reason, started hating her. She was crying because she was all alone, but I assured her that we still had each other. Now, all of our free time was spent together again. Our relationship grew ever stronger, or so she thought. I also started lifting weights. I started cooking high-calorie meals, and she ate whatever I gave to her. Whereas we both ate around 2,000 calories a day before, now we ate 3,500 calories per day. I gained a lot of muscle, and she just gained a lot of fat. After 9 months, I was in better shape than I'd ever been, and she was in the worst shape of her life. I reassured her that I still loved her for who she was, though, and she seemed content with it. After she had gained around 40 pounds, I bought anti-smoking patches, and I applied them to her in her sleep and took them off before she woke up. This literally got her addicted to me. Whenever I was away for a few days I would get texts and calls where she seemed like she was on the verge of breaking down. Because of her weight gain, she found it difficult to do her job. She would always come home dead tired, and in pain. I helpfully suggested to her that she quit her job. I could easily support both of us on my residency salary. She took that suggestion and took it fast. She walked out of her job the very next day. Now over a year had passed since I learned she was cheating on me. At this point, she was out of a job, very overweight, and still friendless. She was dropping hints about a ring, and I thought it was the perfect way to finalize my revenge. We went shopping for a wedding ring, and I made sure to get the ring with the 60-day return policy. I proposed to her later that week. I was able to convince her to sign a prenuptial, making sure that we all got our own stuff and the ring would get returned, by withholding the nicotine patches and putting her through withdrawal, thus weakening her resolve. Her parents were overjoyed, as they loved me like a son at this point. After a month of being engaged, I confronted her about it and she started breaking down. I instantly broke off the engagement, ignoring her threats of unaliving herself. I regretfully told her parents about what she had done. At first, they didn't believe me, until I showed them the logs, and they were horrified. They apologized for their daughter's actions, saying she wasn't brought up this way, and that she would no longer be welcome in their house. Our friends quickly learned on Facebook, and they universally rejected her. It helped that I acted heartbroken and depressed. At this point, she was now homeless, friendless, jobless, without family, in poor physical shape, and addicted to cigarettes. I stopped talking to her, but from what I can tell she got on Social Security to make ends meet. Last I heard, she got arrested for substance charges. I am now a practicing physician and have plenty of close friends. I don't regret a single thing I did.